meme review. So this time around, so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be pulling the most standard loadout. New players, this needs to be your loadout. You're going to want to have default weapon that is the best nose gun. Like objectively, there are situations where these shine, but objectively, the Mustang or your default item is going to be your best choice. You don't want a crazy zoom. The Mustang offers anti-ground capability more than the rotary. So I wouldn't, either or, on or off with the zoom. Reload speed or magazine size. If you're a reloadaholic like me and you can't go 5 seconds without clicking reload, I suggest reload speed, and it really does need to be maxed out, but I just haven't been able to bite the bullet. Magazine size, probably going to be your better option, statistically speaking. Ammunition capacity, I don't even bother with these personally. I like having to manage my resources and go back and refill, but no tryhard is going to tell you that you don't need to start into ammo capacity. Fuel tanks, you start out with external fuel tanks, but this is probably one of the very few things in this game that I would suggest spend your early certs and go something more user-friendly with the quick charge fuel tanks. They're far more forgiving in my personal opinion. The downsides being, your maneuvers are pretty limited. You can't lay down on the fuel tanks for a good little, can't get too crazy. But as far as I'm personally concerned, the quick recharge fuel tanks are going to be your best option for a beginner, as they're very user-friendly. On another account, my earliest account, I pretty much started into all of these, and the only one I ever ended up using was fire suppression. It's the end-all be-all as far as I'm concerned. Grab your health potion. Decoy flares, they could work for you. They're really situational, and honestly, once again, my personal opinion, even though they're faster, I feel like being able to just tank missiles, figure it out later, as opposed to totally ignoring a missile and then having a cooldown for being able to re-engage. And the ejection system, that's for infantry players who want to quick deploy. You will not pull this as a pilot, as an honorable pilot anyway. Scout radar, that's good stuff if you're trolling. Memeing, basically. This is not an effective item. 50 meters of vehicles, and this is not going to be something you want to pull on average. Defense, I suggest stealth. It gives you more reaction time, responding to an incoming ESF, and it increases your margin of error. And what I'm talking about here is the engagement radar. The distance at which you appear on an enemy's, not just minimap, but their screen, an enemy ESF, where you get the little indicator on the edge of your screen. This decreases that range. Composite armor, that's very nice for, generally tanking. Increases vehicle's total health pool by 10%. You'll tank an extra handful of bullets, enough that you might feel it. You're likely to feel it attacking ground targets. But if there are if there are interceptors or pilots out there who are competent enough to engage another vehicle, then you're going to be screaming your location to everybody, and anybody who wants to deal with you is going to have the opportunity. You'd be surprised as you get decent and you can make you fly decent. You'd be surprised once you can make yourself appear like you fly well. You're flying with some competence. How many people will just ignore you in hopes that you'll ignore them? Sometimes that doesn't happen, sometimes it does. If you got composite armor and an enemy ace shows up, or an enemy noob shows up, and either one, they just, for whatever reason, decide they don't want to attack you, wonderful, awesome, great. But, then you could be on the other hand of the side where you are that slow and comfortable air-to-ground ESF, minding your own business, and as soon as an enemy vehicle gets right on top of you, slows down, and is just dumping bullets into you before you have enough reaction time to get out of the way, it doesn't help. That 10% really isn't worth it. Nanite repair, that's useful. It's very good for survivability, for being able to go from fight to fight. It's great for, I would suggest it for if you're running in an air outfit and you've got a bunch of reavers in the sky playing the objective. Contrary to popular belief, dogfighting airframe, not recommended. Improved turn roll and agility. If you get really good at the game, you could probably make it work, but notice turn roll agility. You don't see pitch. Pitch being your most important tool in a dogfight doesn't improve pitch. I would not suggest this, especially not for new players. Racer's good for interceptors. It's good for your Tom Cruise style game dogfights. Like, you know, it makes you faster, but being faster also puts you at disadvantage for slamming your brakes. And slamming your brakes is something very important in this game. So when you do need to get to that hover fight position, Racer is going to put you at a disadvantage every time, essentially. But it does have its uses. What you want is honorable hover stability airframe. This hover airframe does exactly what it says it does. It increases your hover power, air brake power. That's a very important one. Hover, very important. Air brake, very important. And vertical thrust, very, 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 very important. All three of those things. Absolutely the go-to for new players. Some side notes. Your trims, don't worry. You know, you can run those. If you want to be fancy and flashy, go for it. They don't even render until, you know, some particular distance. It's not very far away. And even at that, you know, there are so many bright lights in PlanetSide that even at night, you're really not going to stand out unless you're just absolutely 100% want every ounce of efficiency you can get. Don't be afraid to run your trims. It's no problem. Camo, you do you with camo. Try hard or show off, either or, it doesn't matter. But, you know, get something that fits you. People will recognize you. If you make a name for yourself, you'll start getting recognized with your looks. All right, rock and roll. Let's do this thing. Oh, and of course your horn. That's very important. So, all right, I've got some notes here written for new players, and I want to start with these. Number 1. I kind of touched on this in my last video. 3 big tips. Number 1 for new players: keep your spirits up. You're going to need to die a lot. I'm not saying that you're going to need to feed the beast, you know, feed those tryhards out there and just let them consume your soul. You know, don't get killed by the same guy doing the same thing over and over. But understand, to get good, you're going to need to die a lot. Don't feel bad about it. Take the default loadout. You can use gimmicks if you want, but they will limit you. Fight people head on. Learn how to hover duel. You know you're gonna die. Understand every time you die, that's a little bit closer. I don't want to sound shallow. Every time you die, you get better. But it's somewhat true in a way, and it's just a fact that the more, the better you get, the more you're gonna have to die. So don't feel bad about that one. I would like from this point on to call hover duels, my word for it, pissing match. Understand, it's just a pissing match. Who can piss the furthest? Alright, so now I guess I could talk about the basic pros and cons for the different ESFs. So, whoops, oh no, oh no, oh no. The basic differences between the different ESFs, and in a future video I want to try to go back and start a new account playing basic ESFs just to kind of show off how decent you can be. You notice the ESFs cost nothing. It's because we're in an air anomaly right now. If you want to talk about having no punishments for learning to fly, you see these air anomalies, you see these little icons on the right side of my screen. That is the time to get into a ESF and go die. So, ESF differences. First we'll talk about the profiles. I'm sure these are things that you've heard other YouTubers and guide talkers talk about, but I want to touch on these. Obviously, scythes. I will brag on scythes all day, up and down, for their slim profile. It is a disadvantage to be attacked from just above or just below. The odds of being attacked from either the slim side or your ups or downs, it's kind of honestly 50-50 in a dogfight. My experience is you're gonna see both about as much, and until you get really, really good, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage and a great advantage 50% of the time, and without much, without much you can do about it. Oh my goodness, there's Kevin. Kevin can kick my butt. See, there's always a bigger fish. Understand that as well. No matter how good you are, there's always somebody better. The reason I'm not attacking Kevin is because he's probably distracted. I don't think he knows me as much as I know him, but I don't want to attack him and aggro him on me. So Mossies. Mossies are middle of the road with their profile. Reavers, about as much as they look like, from all directions. Front, back, top, side to side. They are the, I'm pretty sure they're the biggest hitbox in all directions, but in general, the biggest hitbox objectively, and you will find that being your disadvantage. Next major difference, damage. Oh my, what an important factor. So, I got two sides on me. So scythes are the weakest aircraft and have the weakest guns. So they really suck it up in that regard, for certain. They do have a really excellent, easy to aim weapon. So I would suggest scythes are the best at long range hover fighting. All daggum day, I would suggest scythes. Their hover strength, you heard me say in the last video, scythes excellent hover capabilities. Well, that's not because of the hover power. They have a terrible hover power relative to the other vehicles. I can't remember if the Mossy is worse or not, but I believe it is at least better than the Mossy. But still, in general, it's pretty awful. Here's old buddy. And I am not warmed up, so this is not going to be good. I'll take this guy on down low, though. What did I tell you? What the heck did I tell you in the last video? People that are better than me still bury themselves. There it is, right in front of your face. Alright. I'm not good at switching to jet mode, to be totally honest. That's one of my things I need to work on. I'm really slow to switch. Scythes, easily the weakest, and they do not output as much damage as the others. Now this is a very, new players, I wouldn't rely on these stats too wholesomely, as at your skill level, these things aren't going to matter that much to you. All vehicles are same enough that at a very basic level, you don't have to worry about them so much. But once you start getting better, it is very excellent to keep these things in mind. Profile health damage. There it is. I knew that was going to happen. Reaver damage. The Reaver is the warrior airplane. The Reaver is the best plane at fighting. Don't take that out of context. It is not the best ESF. They've all got trade-offs, but it does have the most damage objectively put together. Make the Reaver best damage outputter. Now there are other reasons that offset why the Reaver is such a good, melee fighter, I would call it. But understand that Reavers, once again, you players, don't take this as saying you need to go as a Reaver because they have the most damage. Oh, that must mean that you're going to have an advantage in firefights. That is not the case. There are so many other factors to dogfights that's a really minor advantage, especially considering how similar the planes are ultimately. Just reiterating that point, it's very important you understand that. Speed. Alright, so basic cruise speed, that's this speed right here. No afterburner, no nothing. Reaver is the worst. And that's why I say, as a Reaver, when you run out of afterburner, when you need it, expect to either take a lot of damage or just straight up die. Your scythes, middle of the ground in this territory. Oh, let me revert back to Mossy. So Mossy's damage, middle of the road. Scythes in the speed element, they're the middle cruise speed, but generally speaking, I would name scythes the slowest aircraft in general. Generally speaking, new players, brand new players, this isn't really for you, but intermediate players, I can generally outrun a scythe when I really need to. If I have someplace I'm going, of course. If I'm just flying out in the middle of nowhere. Remember, scythes are the best at long-range fighting, and you're just putting yourself in their sweet zone when you start running. But if you have a place you're trying to get, you will get there faster than a scythe, generally speaking. And that can be used as an advantage. Oh, I lost that guy. Oh, I had him. I had a really good move on him. Uh-oh, I'm out. Uh-oh. When you tap the top layer of the world like that, your plane will stick to all of its current controls. That guy was pretty good. Oh, here's an important note. You remember in the last video I did, like I said, I mentioned that the scythes have excellent hover capabilities. That's not because they have the strongest hover. Their hover is very weak. What they have is a very stable hover. And hopefully at some point I can do a video playing as a brand new ESF and show that off. The scythes are excellent at, let me get down below, at this maneuver right here. Slowing down and looking at the floor and patrolling. Look how fast I'm falling like this. This is actually really fast. That is the fastest fall speed between, I almost got knocked by that thing. That is the fastest fall speed between any of the three Empire specific fighters. For the Reaver. What this does is this decreases your engagement time on ground targets. It's not really useful so much against air vehicles. It's a negligent factor. What's the word? It's a negated factor in air fights. Don't worry about it. But for attacking ground targets, a Reaver's fall speed is going to seriously hamper your time to hit the floor, or the amount of exposure time you have to hit the floor. I mean, I would suggest don't start shooting until you think you can hit your target. Don't just shoot to shoot. Little side tip. Scythes, they are excellent air-to-ground vehicles because of that factor. However, once again, they have the lowest health, so that exposure time also is a danger to them, as that makes you confident in your ability to hit targets, but the longer you're around, the more likely you are to take a lot of damage or get ganked, or one hit rather. Mossies, in this regard, speed, they do have the fastest cruise speed. One person, I heard somebody on a forum once say, it's very accurate, cruise speed doesn't matter when it counts. When speed counts, you afterburn. That is true. The only time I would, not give that advantage is when you're out of afterburn. But if you run out of afterburn, it doesn't matter how fast your cruise speed is, you're a dead man walking. So I have no ammo right now. You can continue to dogfight with no ammo. In World War I, pilots used to size each other up. And I figure as long as I keep this guy on his toes, eventually either he's going to make a mistake or get bored, or I'll... See? Maneuver kill. Just like that. Or I've got the ammo implant, and it might have given me enough ammunition to grab that tick. I am currently flying deeper into enemy territory, which is not the correct answer. Uh-oh. I think I scared him. I don't think I scared him enough. Oh, shucks. So speed, hover capabilities, summarized. Reavers, very strong hover. Definitely the strength of the Reaver's hover and afterburn absolutely outweigh its hitbox size and cruise speed. The Scythe, once again, keeping the theme of not the best, but extremely user-friendly. Very, very user-friendly, very suggested for new players learning the concepts of planet-side dogfighting or general air game. Of course, Mossy, once again, middle of the road, a little bit of everything. So now we'll talk nose gun placement. You think nose gun placement? What does that have to do with anything? Will, check this out. The Reaver blatantly has the most offset gun between all of them. Look at this crap. Your view is here. Your gun is here. That's a good... I don't know, what's the size? That's a good, I don't know, a meter? Let's speak in communist words for a second. That's a good, like, I don't know, meter or two of difference between aim and gun. And once you start playing the Reaver for a while, you start to feel it. You're shooting from your crotch, and then the bullets fall straight down. I'm exaggerating, clearly, but you understand my point. I don't actually know what the muzzle velocity is for the Mossy, but it is my understanding that the Reaver has one of these slower muzzle velocities between all of the factions, with the Scythe, I believe, having the highest. Once again, the Scythe, making the Scythe keep the theme of usability. You know, you hit where you're aiming. The Scythe also has a very excellent, the most excellent nose gun placement, almost right at your crosshair. There's almost no discrepancy between where you're aiming and where you're hitting as a Scythe. I don't even think there's bullet drop in the Scythe. So yeah, that's absolutely incredible and very handy. The Reaver, lots of bullet drop. This, you know, major disadvantage for the Reaver is being able to aim worth a darn. But once again, brand new smack dab right out of the eggshell players, don't take that with too much credence. All ESFs are just close enough that you should be able to learn all of them effectively enough. Oh, I love that maneuver. It feels so cool. So those are the most basic ESF differences that I can think of off the top of my head. Obviously, afterburners, we touched on that. Reavers have the best afterburner. That's going to give you the most availability for maneuvering and such. Mossies have the highest cruise speed, which is actually going to mean that you have a longer time to brake to get into these reverse maneuvers. So that's actually both a blessing and a curse. Oh, hello, friend. The Reaver is I would say a paladin or a knight, a heavy hitter, but hard to utilize. The Scythe is going to be your archer. Rather user-friendly as well. Very easy to learn with, long range, but extremely weak. And the Mossy, your man-at-arms. Middle of the road, just as all-purpose as it gets. Safety in numbers in PlanetSide. Safety in numbers. Size always matters. That's like the motto of the game. Let's run over my favorite altitudes quickly. So this, that is barometric altitude. That is not above ground altitude. That is not accurate for what I'm talking about here. At about this altitude above the ground, people on the floor from miles can see you. They can see me. They can see me. I don't know what the actual render distance is. You know, it's not unlikely that they actually can't. Oh, that's an enemy warp gate. Whoops. But understand that ground forces all around can see me at this altitude right here. This is actually the altitude I see a lot of ESFs moving places at, because you know they want an altitude advantage, but they don't want to spend the time to go way up. Don't do anything casual at this altitude. You're gonna get, you know, sniped by ground forces and crept up on by air forces. Your terrain altitude, that's my favorite. It feels the fastest because you have a ground reference, and it's fun to follow the terrain. Terrain following is so fun in this game. It's best in the Scythe, personally, I think, because of your small hitbox. Let's get away from all this anti-air before I engage this guy. I don't know if you noticed that, but right there I baited him into into a dodge and then went the other way. And then I missed every shot, so I negated that advantage. As he's below me, he actually has an advantage because he's going to stay in hover much easier. We've been fighting for a minute now, so he's probably going to have teammates show up just like that. I'm the one smoking more, so I'm going to be the bigger target. I don't have time to switch to a reverse maneuver. My suggestion is usually just survive. I was looking for an opportunity to land, but I ran out of time and burned up in the air. I would suggest doing that more so than forcing yourself to the floor in a dogfight. Don't be afraid to land in intense situations like that, though. I mean, you can get away with it. You can get away with it. So ground following, it's my personal favorite. You have enough field of view that you can see, what you need to see. You're actually fairly stealthed from high altitude targets. They've really got to be looking for you to see you, or just be really good at spotting. Or, if you're afterburnering, of course, you're pretty obvious. But generally speaking, low altitude is my recommended mode of travel. It's also more fun. But if you'd rather, or if you're, for whatever reason, there's a lot of ground cover, you want more field of view, I'd rather just take to the stars and go at this altitude. At this altitude, you do have a chance of not seeing another vehicle at this altitude, as in Ubi. No big deal, really. It's not the end of the world that you might not see someone. Just keep an eye out. But generally, I believe that you will find traveling at this high altitude, you will encounter less resistance. Now, usually the people that sit up here at this altitude patrolling are built, ready, and looking for a hover duel. See that guy? Look at that. That guy was traveling at that kill altitude I was talking about. Probably didn't see me, but I was able to see him. That's again, another thing I talk about, running stealth. Maybe it was because I was running stealth, or maybe it was just because he wasn't a very situationally aware pilot, but that Scythe really missed an opportunity to engage an enemy who was, already distracted engaging one of his friends. Let's talk about some basic maneuvers. Alright, if you don't know what this is, I'm gonna thump you, because you need to know what that is. It's just a basic reverse thrust maneuver. Hover and thrusting backwards. This is your creme de la creme fighting style in this game. You need to understand this science in order to play air game in ESF. It's a lot more difficult with the racer, with the performance airframe of racer. If I remember, I'll try to throw up those fancy graphics, but I'm sure you've seen them before. I definitely suggest reading the guide that those are from. You could even just right here in the warp gate where you're supposed to be invincible. Generally, you're perfectly safe in the warp gate. So just practice hovering, staying hovered, ascending, pitching down, descending, pitching up. Those are keyboard cheats for switching to hover mode. Looking up, it's easier to stay in hover mode than it is looking down. Observe. This is why I say attacking ground targets from directly above and reavers is so much more difficult, because not only are you hovering down faster, but no matter what set of buttons I click, my plane wants to go to jet mode really bad. However, contrarily, looking up, you have a lot of free reign over what you can do. I'm even holding the W key a little bit, and I'm even trying to switch right now. I'm trying to switch. I'm holding my W and shift is all I'm holding, and I'm still in hover mode. It's very, very sturdy looking up. That's why it's always advantage to be below your target. Now that also means you're more likely to oof against the dirt, but that's an acceptable risk. Cruising at high altitude, Now understand what I'm doing here is I'm holding my control key, my descend, instead of my ascend, descend, so that I'm going, you know, up. That's pretty basic physics. It's not as fast as holding your spacebar, but only by a little. And look at all this field of view you have. Oh, it's so beautiful and pretty. But you might be in a position like this right here, where for whatever reason you're around some rocks and descending to get away from the rocks. Or maybe you've done this and you and you want to descend and get away out of that collision scenario. Like you just saw, you can actually ram into things pretty hard, especially in a reaver, and not be all that bad off. And I suggest, you know, just doing stuff like this right here, practicing flying backwards. It's easier circling things because it gives you a point of reference to and a goal to continue at. Oh, I forgot that was there. Being able to do that and then turn that into a dogfighting maneuver is what keeps me going in this game. Being able to pull crap like that in dogfights is what keeps me playing PlanetSide. I don't really want to go too into depth about, you know, different types of maneuvers. Just understand that getting the basic science of hovering and switching and all that is very important. A lot of people like to they like to switch to hover mode at full speed, just like the, you know, twist and go. Personally, I'm a hit your brake first kind of guy. That's probably not recommended in most scenarios, but you know, it is what it is. You'll get your own flavor to flying as you play. Just shortly, brand new players, Mustang. Don't look at anything else. Recharge tanks or fuel tanks, preferably not the high capacity. Breaker pods, not a bad choice from an intermediate dudes who want to make a little more money. Hornet missiles, excellent for soloing vehicles. The worms, I absolutely love these things. They're brand new out of the box. Tomcats, we could talk a while about Tomcats, but generally best used when trying to pick a lib or a galaxy that you've been having trouble with, or during massive fights like we had back there. Usually I'll take Tomcats just because getting that guaranteed damage, especially in low frame rates, like I'll be honest, sometimes I dip into low frame rates in really big fights like those. And we don't talk about coyotes. New players, don't rely on coyotes. They are probably the most reasonable air-to-air option for air vehicles, you know, the most forgiving. But being the most quote-unquote forgiving, they will zap away your ability to fight, or your ability to learn to fight, rather. Do not take coyotes. It is not worth your time. Nose guns, I'm gonna watch this dude see what he does. He's got camo and a funky name, so he's probably got more than one dude in there with him and knows what he's doing. Oh jeez. Whoever threw that piece of paper, your mom's a hoe. Wait, that's an ESF. Hey gummit, I told you being low altitude makes you harder to see. So he's got breaker rockets, which means I've automatically got an advantage because I'm faster than him. Get up, you pansy. We're gonna fight, you and me. I'm not gonna gank you. Fight me. Fight me, you massive loon. Gah! I don't want to gank him. Whatever, man. Alright, decision making. Let's talk about that. So, hopefully, maybe you've been able to pick up on some decision making I've been performing, even if I've not been talking about it. You saw me not engage that liberator, because I knew... Situational awareness, I think somebody's behind me. Okay, well, a healthy dose of paranoia keeps you alive. This guy just pulled out of a dogfight. He slowed down. I get close enough to see that he's not hurt, but I'm still going to engage him, because I feel like I can deal enough damage to him before he before his buddies catch on to come help him. Okay, so he kind of countered my super maneuver right there by keeping his distance, and now he's got buddies. So now I'm just straight up in a situation. That anti-air is tearing me up, and he's there to pick up the kill. Alright, that was the wrong decision. It's better make a wrong decision than no decision, but that was the wrong decision, because now we know that that area, I believe it's where my mark is, has a lot of anti-air and more than a couple mossies. So I'm going to go back there. Understand that as soon as you start to engage somebody, you're making noise. There are no silencers in ESFs. As soon, you hear that? You hear that? My brain triggers and I hear this mossy wherever he is. There he is. I start looking for him. As soon as you hear it, you know that as soon as they hear you open fire, they know you're in the area. They know to look for you. That's a swarm missiles. They're not going to do a lot to me individually. I might can dodge a few of them. So I got lucky and dodged all of them right there. Let's see. Let's make some decisions here. Should we engage this galaxy? Well, I probably won't be able to kill this galaxy unless it's a abandoning pilot. But because, you know, eventually I will run out of ammunition. But I'm going to go ahead and engage him, as this feels like a tactical decision more than a farming decision. He is dropping people on this base. I didn't like how accurate that gunner was on me. So he's got at least one or more gunners. Man, he just dropped like a rock. I was trying to drop like a rock. So we both dropped like a rock. He kept up with me and got a lot of damage out of that exchange. Now, since I'm going to become stationary, he's going to be able to track me, so I've got to heal fast, just as long as I don't botch my landing. There's a situation where knowing your control bind or your descending bind works. When they've got gunners, keep distance. You know, their gunners do more damage the closer you are. So do you, but you know, I can do a lot more damage from a range than this guy. Ooh, check this out. So he's got a Kessler. He really needs to stay at long range, because while the Kessler has low accuracy, it does do a lot more damage than I'm doing at this distance. So when he gets close and finds out there's a gunner on that plane, he's going to decide he don't like it. He's going to reset. He's going to stay further out and then just start dealing tipping damage. Whoops, sorry guy. Start shooting where your target's going to be. Don't do this maneuver. Don't go, alright, I'm shooting at him, okay, I'm not getting hit markers, I need to lead him more. Once you get it, once it clicks and you know what I'm talking about, like, open fire, hitting your target. Don't waste your time aiming with your tracers. That's just something you're going to have to get good at. That's one of those things that takes a lot of practice, doing over and over, pissing people off, and then missing all those shots, and then having a pilot turn around on you and kill you, and then do it again. Alright, so basic decision making. You got to know when to hold it, know when to fold, know when to run away, and know when to hide. So hold, let's see if I can find some examples. I kind of wasted my example on this guy. Alright, know when to hold. See, this guy's got two. These guys could be in league. I don't think they are. But know when to hold. I don't want to shoot right now. They're watching each other's backs. Shucks, now I'm spotted. They're watching each other's backs. As soon as I open up on one, they both know I'm there. Did my teammate engage? And there's a Liberator chasing me. And there's a Liberator chasing me. So that's a hold situation. Don't open fire right there. You know you can't kill both of those people until everybody in the world wants you dead. Hold. Wait. Play it by ear. Know when to fold. I got too close. I felt like that one Mossy was about to be able to see me. I got hit by some ground targets, so I knew I was spotted. And the Liberator showed up. So I folded. I dropped that fight. I let those two Mossies have their way with whatever they're doing. And I went someplace else. Know when to run. There's a difference between walking away and running away. Right now I'm walking away. I don't think there's nobody who has the means and the motive to kill me. Well, that was freaking cool. Nobody who has the means and the motive to kill me is close enough to kill me, so I'm just gonna take my time and not watch this landing. That guy was having fun. No one to run. Getting locked, taking small arms. I know there's dogfighters in the area. I don't want any of that small arms damage. None of that anti-air damage. That's a run. I mean, this is pretty basic crap, but you'd be surprised how long it takes people to go from, oh, I'm being shot, it's time to hit my afterburner and find some other place to be. So that's just for you out there, you super duper noob who's gonna sit there and take dinks and think you're invincible. Let's see if this guy knows when to run. He knows when to run. Now, he's just in an unfortunate situation all around together. He's in enemy territory with his, pants down. But the fact that he got out of there and kept at it, again, that seems like common sense, but you would be surprised. Common sense ain't so common. Oh, I like it. He's slowing down. Dishonorable. Jumping out of a burning ESF. Absolutely shameful. For my intermediate to above intermediate players, anticipate your opponent's moves and then turn it on them. He didn't want to fall for the same trick twice right there. But you saw me freaking bamboozle him with that one maneuver with the fake. And I'm out of ammo. So let me see if I can just get him to burn to death, or maybe give him a love tap so we both don't die. So if you don't want to be like me, and you don't want to run out of ammo mid-engagement, cert into ammo capacity. But if you think that it's fun, to have those little situations, you do you. I think it's funny. How about basic engagement scenarios? We didn't run through that one. Air game in PlanetSide is so dynamic, don't even think for a second that this is remotely comprehensive. I understand that the science of reverse maneuvering and all this changes the game. Like, you've never played, you Tom Cruise F-15s, MiGs, that crap. What is this reverse thrust and going cover mode? What? We're not helicopters. So, this is just to kind of explain some of the science of how engagements work. Same story. You can still deal with ambushes. You've been watching me ambush air-to-ground vehicles. People who come in low, slow, they look, they scan, they decide, anybody here asking to get shot? Let's see. And they're not looking up, and you come down right on top of them. This Liberator sees me, the Mossy don't. I want to kill that Mossy, but that Liberator is very, very, very aggroed on me. When you're ambushing someone else, hold your fire until you like your chances of killing them or dealing as much damage as possible. I am not going to engage anybody in this environment. 2 Liberators and 3 Galaxies is not a situation I can win, no matter how many Mossies or how bad the Mossy pilots are down there. I just don't have enough bullets to kill everyone. So I'm just going to let them have that. When you're being ambushed, let's say if I was that guy, remember my common sense point. Don't wait to see if it passes over. Treat every little dink and donk. If you're not 100% certain you know what it is, treat it all like an enemy ace is on your butt and engage appropriately. Bad for Ed. I might can gank one of these dudes now that all the Liberators and stuff have kind of gotten used to life. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Doesn't know I'm here? Alright. Gotta deal as absolutely much damage as humanly possible. And I'm just gonna, if he survives, let him survive. I'm not here to bully people anyway. That should hit that biolab. There we go. You do deal damage the closer you are. I forget the cap damage distance, but it's relatively close. You can get pretty daggum close before you're dealing maximum efficiency damage. I'm probably not dealing max damage right here at this distance. This one's competent enough that he likes to engage other people. I don't want him coming back on me. I haven't seen this dude engage anybody yet, but you know, he's asking for an easy death, so we'll give it to him. Oh, that's, you can't fly through that. You know, when you're just flying around to fly around and look for a fight, and you're way up here in the air, and you know, generally ganking can be frowned upon. You do you, but you might make some enemies if you gank people out in the lonely boonies. Oh, this poor sap walks right back into the game, right back after the same person. I'm not even going to use my afterburner. I don't even... This guy's a really low skill player. I'm just going to watch. How about that? How about we just watch? So this Reaver is also not very good. It's probably about the same skill level as this Mossy. If he would just tank some damage, it's too late now, but if he had just tanked some damage, just ate it, and got into a reverse thrust maneuver where he could fight, he'd have been much better off. Ready for a better fight, guy? Nah. High altitude fights, that's your true pissing fights, pissing matches. That's going to be high altitude, just circle hovering. We're talking about maneuvers. Let me show you the little circle dodge maneuver that is like, you know, the thing that gets me all the time fighting Mossies. Mostly Mossies pull it off. I don't know why I don't see size do it more. But literally just this crap. And then continuing to put accurate shots on target. It's kind of hard to show you without a frame of reference, but low altitude dogfights, pissing matches are awesome. Those are preferred, in my opinion. How did this guy not hear me just like walk over here? I don't like doing that, but since there's so many of these, and there's so much enemy anti-air, remember what I said about immediately start moving? Look, he survived that freaking one-clip kill long enough to leave, whereas that first guy just freaking took it. Low altitude dogfights, no, you're gonna bash up against the rocks and it's gonna be fun. So this guy, he didn't go into a reverse thrust maneuver, but at least he started moving. Don't fly straight like that. I noticed on my map that Liberator was kind of turning towards me, and now it's chasing me! Situational awareness, know that somebody really wants me dead right now. Dodging Liberator rounds, just change directions. Some gunners are really good shots. Use cover, you know, hide behind rocks and crap like that. Personally, I think hugging the terrain gives you the best opportunities for dodging. I can just pick up this freaking anti-air kill. This guy, Nani, is already dead. Anytime a Liberator shows you his belly, he doesn't want belly rubs. He wants to reach out and touch you with a artillery round. He is not. Whatever. So let me get into a hover fight with this thing while I'm an enemy anti-air and he's not. This is a really long-range dogfight or a pissing match. Understand? I'm thinking about shooting where he's going to be, not following my tracers before he starts opening fire. I want to stay below him so I can hover better. You know, I don't want to sit still for too long. Let's talk about that. New players, it's not a bad idea to sit still for too long and just, you know, practice refining your aim. He called Big Brother on me. I ain't having none of that. Alright, chasing this guy, I'm more vulnerable to all this extra damage that I'm taking because I have to stay shooting straight. Okay, no, not worth it. I'm really into the daggum mess too. Now there's tanks shooting at me. That was it. You saw it? That sounds like it might be shooting at me. I really don't want this thing to know I'm here. He's a ways away. Don't get lost. Always remember what direction your warp gate is, because running away and hiding and then finding out you're at the enemy warp gate is not how you survive. I learned that lesson many a times before I learned to set a waypoint on my own warp gate and then just wandered the battlefield from there. And that's honestly, I probably should be doing that as much as I'm getting lost. And then just spotting people is actually really loud. You'd be surprised how far away somebody could hear me spotting one of these guys. Oh, he sees me. He sees me, he's gonna run away again. There's two coming up on my left. If I attack this guy, it's gonna have to end quickly.
Clear out of that area.
This Liberator is hurt. I'm always up for putting damage on Liberators. An ESF usually will not out-heal a two-man Liberator crew. If a Liberator lands and it's even barely above chipping health, I would suggest not engaging. Don't waste your bullets or your time. I'll discuss honor briefly. You know, ambushing rivals or people who you know are your skill level. I say ambushing, I mean more so not if we're attacking over all this anti-air. Dueling people, a lot of what I used to do when I was trying to get better, I would meet other ace pilots who were patrolling around and get into those really high altitude dogfights with them. Ridiculous pissing matches where am I even aiming right now kind of things. And I'd get decimated. When I reached out to those people afterward, I've actually made some really good friends on PlanetSide from outside of outfits. I've never actually made a bond with an ally player as much as I have making bonds with enemy aces that I've fought in-game and been like, wow, dude, alright, I suck, you're really good. I've been doing this for like years, and I still suck at this game. You know, can you help me out a little here? I'm so dead. I just kind of locked out and started engaging this guy without thinking about what's around me. Well, what's around me is a lot of anti-air and a lot of thirsty Mossy pilots. So I got really lucky not being engaged on that one. And like I say, as soon as you start shooting, people know where you're at. So that guy knew where I was. If he knew what he was, really knew what he was doing, and really wanted a free pickup, he could have had me. New pilots, don't do this. Don't fly through crowds of enemies like this. I don't know why I'm not being engaged so much. You will be engaged. Like, immediately. Ooh. You heard that Mossy overshoot. So I'm actually getting some low frames. It says 72, but that I'm not feeling 72 frames. That is not accurate. And it's delaying my ability to make these really refined movements. No way he chased me all this way. I'm gonna fall like almost immediately as well. I'm going to lose my hover capabilities pretty fast. And while I take the time to get over there, because none of them are gonna have the situational awareness to look up and see me. I mean, honestly, do you really think they will? Place your bets. Place your bets if I get spotted. Let's talk about keybinds real quickly. Your most important keys going to be perspective change. I have my perspective change set to scroll wheel because it's that important to me in both directions actually. I have free look set to middle mouse, clicking in on middle mouse and left alt. Just switch it because sometimes middle mouse can be a little quirky on my setup. Change to... if you noticed, I stayed in hover mode because I'm descending and I'm pointing upside down, pointing down. Whereas when I switch this way and I look down, I switched to jet mode. So that's another reason I like to sit in this mode. I'm getting really low altitude. They're about to see me. Hovering is probably the stealthiest thing you can do, but it is also the most vulnerable thing you could do. Oh my goodness. How close to this guy do you think I can hover until he notices? Situational awareness, guys. He bought fire suppression. I don't know if he took actual damage right there, but it's also clever to note that when I'm not shooting, I do get shot at less.
Restricted area immediately.
As soon as I start shooting, though, I'm gonna draw all these people in. I should have, if I really wanted to just kill that guy, I should have kept on with that turn and not turned around. But I was kind of worried about being predictable. All this anti-air and such. This guy's shooting at something. I don't know if it's me or what. OG Johnny's, he doesn't know how to look around, but he's not afraid to get in a fight. I'll give it to him. It's gonna pay off for him, I tell you what. Don't get too predictable, but you know, you gotta get a little crazy when you're dodging. This is actually slowing me down. And even though there's like a billion of them out here and I have no frames, I feel like turning and fighting might be my best option. Uh-oh. Since I'm still smoking, I'm attracting a lot of attention. I'm looking like a fresh, tasty target. No matter how good or scary they think I am.
TR mosquito spotted.
Safety in numbers. Now, I'll tell you what, one ace, one pilot with a little more situational awareness shows up and all of these shenanigans stop. I don't want to do it to him. Hang on. Oh, wait. Did he hear me that time? I think he knew I was there that time. So they got people who aren't necessarily locked into the fight yet out here. I'm going to get spotted by basically everyone. And I want to hug this rock. You definitely need pitch up and down, bound to something very comfortable. People talk all the time about analog throttle. That is suggested. It is the fastest way to get to zero, because what that's doing is throttle in this game works just like it does in War Thunder. So I'm at 0 throttle right now. If I W let go, so that sets my throttle. There's no indicator for what your throttle is actually at, even there's a freaking throttle thing right there. But I can sit here and kind of tap my W key and I'm just barely changing my throttle collective. Same thing in War Thunder, same thing I think in Arma does this as well. You just can't see it. And so using your analog, if you hold W, you know, you'll run that number up to 100%. If you hold S, you'll run that number down to 0%. If you hold it for just a second, you'll cap it out at 50%, or cap it out. You'll put it at 50%. But doing using the analog throttle. Uh-oh, I made noise around a bunch of people. Analog throttle immediately sets that collective to 0, and it probably gives you some extra time, or saves you a couple extra seconds on hitting that brake. Personally, I'm a psychopath. I'm just here to have fun. I'm not really about being the Ash Ketchum of dogfighting. I just hold S because I'm a masochist, I suppose. I don't know. But every tutorial is going to tell you to do that, and I'm going to suggest you do that as well. These pilots are good enough at dodging just that little bit for the last second to hold out. Well, hello, friend. Let's take this guy off a little. Oh, no, let's not. So if there's anybody on this Valkyrie, he's probably going to get mad and start shooting at me. Alright, so I got saved by my buddy right there. Let's continue on. I heard somebody say there was something about a rebinding glitch they were having, where they could not select aircraft and say I have C set to pitch up, where if they, let's see, hold to clear up, they hit C, it would tell them C also bound to crouch, conflict, they'd hit OK and it'd rebind. That's not supposed to happen. I could not figure out why that was happening for that guy. I would suggest either submitting a support ticket, reinstalling the game, searching forums. That's not supposed to happen. I don't want to start shooting yet because this guy's a scythe. You know, sorry, Ace 42, but oh, he's typing. What a poor soul. But this guy's good enough. If I started engaging at that distance, this scythe would know to keep his distance, and then I'd be uphill. Scythes are really good at that, at just general dodging right behind people. Dishonorable. I don't know who's shooting at me. I guess it's him or this other. No. No. Bad. Bad dog. Oh, is there one right behind me again? Oh, shoot! I don't want to chase him. As a Reaver, I'm probably going to catch him faster than he would catch me if the gender roles were switched. If this guy's smart, he'll keep his... No. He's a good shot, so he can definitely make up for it. But if he really wanted his best odds, he'd have kept me at a distance and not let me have the opportunity to fight back. So this guy's definitely going to kill me. He's a better shot than me. He got a lot of out-of-the-box damage. He knows how to work his scythe. Happens. Don't feel bad. It's not like an honor ranking system up here where if you get killed by, what was his name, Josh OG, then you're suddenly the worst player ever. Nah, dog, it happens. Oh shoot, let's talk about the sensitivity. Yeah, let me get back in the plane to talk about that. I'm sure you've, you know, your biggest hurdle. I'm sure you've noticed it. And I'm pretty sure most guides address it, but some of them don't. It's crazy mouse acceleration smoothing. And you're like, how do I turn this off? I've got acceleration and smoothing turned off. Well, it's forced. It's forced into the game on all vehicles. Nobody likes it except for psychopaths. And everyone hates it, and it slows everybody down. But in a way, it's kind of what makes dogfighting as brilliant as it is in this game. Once you learn to handle that, and you can get to where you can, you know, you can work. Look, I can trace these mountaintops almost. Do I get that one? Once you get where you can kind of pull that daggum crap, holy smokes, it opens up a whole new world. That is a lot of your skill level is in aiming, is being able to figure out how to work with and learn this acceleration and smoothing. Just accept it. It's a fact of life. It's not going anywhere. It sucks, but such is life. You're on that whole note of dying a lot, your biggest strength, your most valuable asset is morale. You're going to be dying a lot and taking a lot of L's, and how you handle those L's is going to determine how much fun you're having in this game. Used to, I'd feel really bad when I got gunned down in a hover duel because I considered myself really good, and I'd still get killed, even sometimes by people I knew that I was better than. Jeez, this thing is doing the Lord's work. Stop, stop, you communist, you sadistic communist fricktard. Go away. Leave my people alone. He doesn't have a good gunner. He's gonna sit here and take it. You're gonna be taking a lot of L's, getting shot down all the time. I thought I was the crap. I thought I was the Jazz. It really hurt my feelings when I found out I wasn't the Jazz. There's always a bigger fish, no matter how good you get. Learn at your own speed. Have fun. You know, unless you're here to become Ash Ketchum, the world's greatest dogfighter, have fun and learn at your own speed. Do things your way. Freaking RKO people. Getting some terrible frames. Oh my goodness. I really need to change my settings, to be honest. I should probably turn that render distance down. My understanding is render distance only affects buildings, but that really helps me orient myself, so I keep it maxed out. So practice aiming without dodging, and then fairly quickly you'll want to learn to start aiming, engaging, and then dodging while reloading, and then reacquiring your target. Ascending and descending is an excellent dodging technique. Just instead of sticking to one direction, I want this guy to fight me. I don't want to ambush this guy. I want to... Never mind. How about you? You fight me. This will be a challenge. Over here. Shoot at me. I want to dogfight you. I'm terrible at killing liberators because I'm not good at I'm not very good at dodging these things, to be honest. I'm not good enough at managing my afterburner to like keep them off of me. If I'm just running and one's chasing me in a straight line, I have been freaking dunked on before by like from miles away. Ooh, look, a pretty armor column. Yeah, it is. Give the boys a show. Make the game look cool as much as it is cool. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to try to keep my altitude over this guy. I don't want to fly just straight at him because then I'll lose altitude. I'll lose situational awareness just getting locked on. Ooh, he's got a buddy. Ooh, he's got a lot of buddies. I'm going to turn these off. I'm going to slow down. I know this guy is not the greatest. He can probably handle his own, especially since he started out in a hover, ready to reverse. I've probably been spotted. He immediately lost his hover advantage by going into afterburner mode. However, in a different token, he also got out of my shot as fast as possible. So, you know, bonuses and pros and cons to dodging with jet mode. I don't like it personally. Talked about putting shots on target before you shoot. Don't aim by your hitbox or your hit marker. Let me show you what not to do. One that's full auto, don't do that. Only shoot when you think you're gonna hit him. Wait till you are in that sweet zone to start shooting. Again, that's kind of a hard thing to explain without the right words, but once it clicks, and you'll be better because of it. King Arthur the editor here. So in this clip, I say some really uneducated stuff about fire suppression that I didn't do my research for. I say that it only heals 25% of your vehicle's damage, whether you wait till it pops the fire, or whether you're on fire or not. That's actually not the case. Popping fire suppression while you're on fire will immediately return the vehicle to 10%, meaning that you do actually get an extra little chip of healing when you wait until your vehicle is on fire to pop fire suppression. I would still personally rather pop fire suppression early so that it is recharged and ready to go faster than to get an extra little amount of health. But once again, you'll get your own flavor to flying. But I think I've healed enough by now that I can take him on. And I'm taking way too much other damage. That's not who I want. That's who I want. Oh jeez, I am so dead. It's just a matter of who's gonna kill me. Can I take anybody with me? Ah! You're not the one I want. Stop showing up in my freaking gun sights. Where's Torrent? Ah well. Well, it's a fun game. You know, take your L's with stride. It's fun to die, you know what I mean? I know it's not. But you can make it fun. You can have fun with it. Learn to dodge while shooting, while, you know, learn to acquire targets quickly. That's just about getting used to that mouse acceleration is really all that is. Situational awareness. You're just gonna have, there's nothing I can say to make you understand, like, dogfighting and the maneuvers of how you get behind people and how you end up on top of people and how you predict their movements. I can't explain that with words, but it is a thing that's possible in the game. Once you get to a level, you can understand, you can talk that language, and it's awesome when you get there. So understand that will be a possibility one day after you die enough. That's pretty much all I have for you. I'll leave you this one little bit of advice, man. My dad always tells me, aim small, hit small. Learn that in life, really. That's a good one if you think about it hard enough. Y'all have a good one.